what is really rewarding is trying to get people to eat more vegetables and trying to get people into the industry, because wholeheartedly I believe that both of those things is a really true and honourable and the right way forward for the world.
This is The Producers. I'm Dani Valent. Third-generation farmer Catherine Velisha is the Managing Director of Velisha Farms based in Werribee South on the outskirts of Melbourne. She's also the founder of VegEducation, a training organisation that promotes the diverse opportunities in farm work, as well as extolling the virtues of veg to the broader community. The way she sees it, horticulture is nourishing in every way. A great business that's good for the people who work in it and those who consume it, and full of opportunity. In fact, according to Catherine, vegetables are going to save the planet.
My name is Catherine Velisha. I'm Managing Director of Velisha Farms at Werribee South and VegEducation, which is an RTO that's designed for horticulture and for the broader community to learn about horticulture. So my grandfather and his two brothers came from Albania in the 1930s. They started dairy farming down in Werribee South. The war happened, World War II started, so that area turned to production horticulture. They also changed to production horticulture to feed the Puckapunyal Army base down the road, about 2 hours. So then that's how Werribee South turned into that area. They all lived together in a big hospital with my grandmother and aunties. They all had the kids together. And then, they farmed. The boys took over the farm, one of them being my dad. He started then creating more of a wholesale business. All the cousins worked together as a family, but as they got older, they kind of all went into separate Velisha families. We didn't grow up on the farm. Our family didn't grow up in the farm. So we lived in Dani, which was probably about 15 minutes from Werribee South. But my dad, he was mainly in the wholesale markets, to be honest. So some of the boys, the cousins, stayed on the farm and grew a bit more. But I do remember many a weekends going to the shed. My mum worked in the pack shed with all the aunties, and they used to pack broccoli into the styrene boxes to send away. And I remember sitting on many boxes of bins of ice, getting the stem of broccoli broken off, fed to us like our own little chocolate bars, and sitting on the forklift. All of those things are not allowed today because of OHS, but all of those fun things that we used to get to do. And also going into the market with Dad. So that was at the Footscray wholesale markets, which a lot of people probably drive past now work, which is very vacant. But I remember the thrill of getting woken up at about 3 a.m. on school holidays and getting taken in there, getting fed milkshakes and chocolate bars, and then falling asleep on the onions till we all got to go home. So, yeah, they're the memories of growing up in the industry. Oh, and they used to get a lot of money too. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, used to walk around the market and everyone give you $5. I remember that was very prominent in my mind when that stopped. So it was not a foregone conclusion at all about going as a family business. I finished high school and I went to university, and I wasn't really putting in much there. I was a bit lost, I guess. So Dad, being a European dad, said, if you're not going to do something, you have to work, because that's what you've got to do. So I started working down at the packing facility in Werribee South when I was 19. So I've done kind of all the jobs. So I worked on the pack line just as a worker. I've worked in the farm just as a worker. I became a leader, and then, kind of ran the business, not really through aptitude, just through probably being the daughter. And I didn't like it really at all. I didn't like it for a long time. I went and did a youth work degree when I was about 28, 29, because I thought I'd had enough of this and I just need to go get another job working under Dad. Oh, before that, I also worked in the wholesale market. So Dad had a business partner and he split with him when I was 25. So I had to go into the wholesale market and work nights for 5 years. So that was very hard. And that really probably was the tipping point of where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I went off, did a youth work degree, and then Dad was starting to talk about retirement. And I think kind of with those two things occurring at once, the confidence of just getting a degree and having a choice then to not have to work in the business, and then him kind of saying that he wanted to get out, gave me the aptitude to kind of say, well, I'll take over and I'll buy you out. And then from there, for the rest is history, I guess.
Velisha Farms is based in Werribee South, but there's more to it than that. Where does the family farm? What do they grow? And what's so special about Werribee South, less than an hour from the centre of Melbourne?
We grow quite a bit of stock, but we also have a team of people who grow for us. So we have multiple different farms. Our main farms are in Werribee South, Caldermead and Tatura, but we also have a grower base that's national. We turn over about $30 million worth of stock a year, and our main lines are broccoli, collies, celery, zucchini, cauliflower, did I say that? An iceberg lettuce, though that's been a bit of a hard goer. We just do that. We do that to the major supermarkets and also into the markets around Australia, which obviously then goes into fruit stores and things like that. So that's our farming part of the business, and we have a packing facility down at Werribee South, and that employs about 30 people. And we've had a long crew there. So it's just really good. We've all evolved. It keeps evolving. It's an exciting space to play in. It really is. Werribee South is still probably regarded, and I'm sure there'll be other people that say not, but regarded as one of the best growing areas in Australia, and that's really because of where it is. So Victoria itself doesn't generally get really any sort of really extreme weather episodes like Queensland and things like that and New South Wales. So we don't really get that much. So that makes it a little bit calmer down there. Also being close to the beach keeps it quite temperate. So we're not getting frosts in winter, and we're also not getting real hot in summer. And the ground has been intensively farmed for 100 years. And, this was before kind of the ideas of sustainable farming, and not to say that, my grandfather and all of his peers didn't have an innate ability to look after the land, etc. But, resting ground and mixing crops and things like that weren't necessarily, particularly through kind of that period between the 70s and the 80s where, everyone was trying to make the most of their money. So they just kept planting. And it's still phenomenal about, the quality of produce that comes out of Werribee South, but still the amount we can produce. So the soils there are really red clay soils that you'll see if you drive around, and it being close to the beach is really probably what makes it such a unique place in Australia to grow, and being so close to all the central markets, to all the facilities, to transport, to roads. So, it is a really unique area. There's been a real consideration around the inputs and not only from, water. We use about 70% recycled water down at Werribee South. So that's fantastic. And that has improved dramatically. I remember when we first started using recycled water, the lettuces were rotting within, a few days on the shelf. The broccoli were different colours because the saline was just far too high. So they've really got they've really worked out a great point there with that. Ground is rested a lot, but what makes Werribee South still a hard place to grow, and this is kind of where the tension is between, is it really a viable place to grow? Because the blocks are small and each person has different blocks. So if you do have usually like any sort of amount of land, it's not together. So you're moving, tractors and fertilising machines and things around. So it's not the most efficient place to grow. And also the value of the land, it would make no sense now to buy it to grow on it, because compared to actual farming land, it's probably 100 times more expensive, literally. So they're the kind of tensions that are going on in Werribee South. But the way we've improved our farming is obviously we try to rest the ground more. Different varieties are evolving all the time too. So, seeds are being developed that, need less inputs, need less, are more resilient to heat, are more resilient to drought, things like that. So all of that combined just makes it for a more efficient growing it. And there's just more conversation around all of that. We're doing something now with Vic Uni about turning our scraps into packaging. So they've been doing trials with celery to make like different trays and different packaging. So stuff like that is really, I guess, whatever you focus on grows, and that area is being focused on quite, strongly now. So that space is really evolving quickly.
As a third-generation farmer who wasn't always set on working in the family business, Catherine brought fresh eyes to the Velisha operations. What has she changed, and what's she most proud of?
The 80s and the 90s were very profitable for vegetable businesses, and there was a lot of good luck involved in that, and not just good management. But as things obviously matured in our industry and the customers matured, things became quite tight on the baseline. So way things ran just didn't work the same. So I guess being able to just quickly fix some key things, areas from an efficiency point of view I was able to do. But I guess really what I've probably done most is, the things that I'm kind of been proudest of is I've brought like people along with me. So I've been working with some of these who are our leadership team now, a really multicultural leadership team we've got now. I started working with them when I was 19, 20. They started as forklift drivers as well. Now they're some of our finance managers and our team leaders and things like that. So I guess that trust and being able to build and grow and educate each other together. And, I brought in some different education stuff for our non-English speaking workers and things like that. So I think what I've been able to do is create a really good cohesive group, but also with a lot of opportunity. And I guess, they've seen my my kind of turning and evolution from someone who was a despondent worker into someone who's, embracing kind of opportunities. And I guess that they've also done the same with me. So, yeah, we've got a really great core team. And then obviously the education bit is the last kind of chapter, which is probably the thing I'm most excited about now. It's like the new baby that we put all the attention on. Poor Velisha Farms is like the oldest child that gets a bit left out sometimes. But so that's the new thing, and that's what I think is a really exciting piece for the whole industry and not just Velisha Farms.
VegEducation is a registered training organisation that works towards the further professionalisation of horticulture. It's become much more than that though, educating, campaigning and being a go-to voice of modern farming.
So VegEducation started before COVID. Neil, business partner in that, he's an employment and safety lawyer, and we started thinking about how there was a real need for some real solution-based safety training for our industry. So then COVID hit, and then we thought, why don't we become an RTO? Because that sounds easy. So we went through that process, and that was a long, tedious process. And it was really mainly, again, around doing some training for our industry and just creating real kind of leadership courses that we thought really were needed for that middle band of leaders, and also safety training. But then what evolved in was the schools and the diet conversation. So now we run school programs out at Werribee South. So we've had about 4,000 primary school students which have come in, and we directly speak about the supply chain and all the opportunities in our industry, plus all of the products and the vegetables and different specifications and why things are the way they are, sustainability. We're doing a high school program now called Food Futures in high schools, which is linking food tech units to the whole supply chain and horticulture. And we've got agriculture Cert 2, which we're kind of trying to bring people who want to kind of come from other industries to give them a broad understanding so they can slot into horticulture businesses. So it's really about trying to show the world the opportunities that really are in horticulture and give a different conversation to the conversations that we're usually hearing in the media, I guess sometimes from peak bodies or from the media itself, or because of different incidences. So I think there's a lot of negativity when it comes to farming and horticulture. The stories are usually those ones that get up. We're just trying to, I guess, give the other side, which is a really vibrant, positive conversation around what our businesses are and the opportunities in our industry. The poor farmer kind of conversation is usually, we're talking about when prices are down or up, or, it's just the wheat, who the faces are that are usually the people talking about farming. It's generally maybe, a white man out in the outback. And I don't think that's truly representative of particularly horticulture. We've got a really multicultural workforce. We've got such variety in our jobs. We've got sales managers, finance managers, operations managers, like really developed, intricate jobs, QA, QC, all of those things, product creations. So it's just about talking about those things and not just when there's a drought or a flood or a fire or a lettuce price at $12, even though we're quite grateful for that conversation because at least we've been able to talk about vegetables a lot, but other than that. So, yeah, it's just about all focusing on the opportunities and letting people know what opportunities there are in horticulture. Like, we're the most resilient industry, and really growing vegetables, I think, is going to be the way we save the planet. So we need to also attract new and great talent to help us evolve and improve all of the things we're doing in farming.
There's veg, and then there's veg. Which vegetable does Catherine see as a superhero?
Cauliflowers. I think the revitalisation of cauliflowers is one of the most exciting things that have ever happened. I've never seen so much excitement about like collies. They used to be like the daggy old vegetable. Now, exponentially, I think, our sales increase about 20% every year, and that's just through natural sales. That's through people using it for different things now. You've got rices, you've got mashers. They use it, fry it for popcorn, cauliflower. Like the revitalisation of cauliflower is a very exciting thing. I like roasting it whole. I think that's a real winner. And, you compare that to meat and stuff like that. Like we always say, a collie, if you roast it with the leaves on, which are the best bits, you're about 1.2 kilos of food there. You roast that, even at a real expensive market, a collie usually costs about $6, but generally it's probably about $3.50, $4. You compare that to like 1.2 kilos of lamb, that's probably $30, $35. It's a very cheap swap for a very, very, very good meal.
As someone who grew up in farm sheds and produce markets, Catherine Velisha has seen many changes. What are the biggest innovations and opportunities in horticulture?
Our businesses and our leaders have really matured too. We're quite modern businesses, particularly in horticulture. Our supply chains are very strong. Serving supermarkets and international markets, things like food safety, quality control, all of there's now different ethical standards that we have to meet. Like Fair Farms is a ethical training standard. SEDEX is that if you're a bigger player, or you want to be a professionalised player, a sophisticated player in this industry, you have to be covering all of those things off. So there's so much improvement. Obviously, there's improvement to continue, but there's just so much opportunity. And I think on the flip side, people don't understand the kind of wages and opportunities that people that from different backgrounds are given in horticulture, because we still do have that kind of entrepreneur startup kind of mentality. If you work hard, you can go places. And that really is, that's kind of how our family started. That's how most of us still are. We were given a start, not with a lot of skill set, but because, we've worked hard and we've kind of had that entrepreneurial mindset. So that is still really rewarded in our industry. So that gives a lot of different people a lot of opportunities from all different head starts and different bases.
Catherine sees veg as a force for good in so many ways. What is it she loves about what she does?
I love the diversity of it, but what I'm really enjoying now is kind of using veg to really explain what I believe is truly our industry and all the opportunities and vibrancy that is in it. So, that's, I guess, spruiking that message has really, I've seen the opportunities it's given my family and myself, and now my peers that work with me, my colleagues, and I just hope that more people start looking at it differently and realising that you can still be, do accounting at school or marketing at school or all of those, more trendy formal things, but there's a place for you in horticulture because we use all of those really high skill talents that aren't formally thought of when you're thinking of careers. It's very hard work selling vegetables because, as we've talked about, sometimes the value proposition isn't there for customers, and that's what we're trying to change with this, I guess, the conversation all the time. But what is really rewarding is trying to get people to eat more vegetables and trying to get people into the industry, because wholeheartedly I believe that both of those things is a really true and honourable and the right way forward for the world. So being able to say something with such conviction and being able to sleep at night it's a nice feeling. My one thing I do want to get across about vegetables is my one thing that we always say at Velisha Farms is if you cook your veg like meat, then all your problems will be solved. So I think the problem in the past is we haven't thought about it like that. We've cooked veg in such different ways to meat. And if we cooked meat like we have cooked vegetables in the past, I don't think anyone would like meat. So just use your oil, your heat, your salt, and get that real nice caramel and char, and you can make any vegetable taste as good as any steak out there.
The image of the sun-bleached farmer chewing on a straw is about as far from the picture of modern farming painted by Catherine Velisha as could be. A leader and innovator, a thinker and a trainer, Catherine is an inspiring example of modern farming. Commercial, customer-focused, nimble, and so passionate that she really does think vegetables will save the planet. This is The Producers, a Deep in the Weeds production. I'm Dani Valent. Stay tuned as we talk to some of Australia's best farmers, makers and growers. Follow us on Instagram at Producers Podcast or contact us via deepintheweeds.com.au.